Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the world or when you're joining us. We will record this for the future. My name is Todd Johnson, and I'm responsible for FormusPro's business here in North America. Happy to be joined today by Jill Byrne, who's part of our partner at Sylogist, and I'll let her introduce herself more in a bit. I'm going to try and give you a quick overview of how we can help nonprofits with a product called Sylogist MissionCRM. It's all built on the Microsoft platform, but we'll give you that story.
Oh, that sounds great. And then I usually try to pause from time to time and open it up for some questions. So definitely use that chat as we're going along.
Cool. All right, well, let's jump in. So we'll do some quick intros on both organizations. We're very focused on Microsoft product set. And so, we're going to try and give you some ideas of how the Dynamics product set can help you in the nonprofit space, and then particularly about MissionCRM. This is the product that we implement for our customers, developed by Sylogist. Jill knows this stuff inside and out. And so we'll talk a bit, but we're also going to demo a bit, and that's actually the more, I always think that's the more interesting stuff. And as Jill mentioned, you have questions along the way, please, by all means, let us know. So I'll give you a little bit of background on FormusPro. I generally describe it to people as we find ways to use technology for good. Pretty broad statement, but there's some pretty amazing things that we can do. And I'll talk a bit in a minute about the kind of customers that we work with and get an idea of where we can do that. But this is something, I'm still a geek at heart. I really like being able to take the latest and greatest in the technology world, find a way to, apply that, to help our clients use that, so they can go do what they're focused on. So a little bit about our company. One thing to know, hey, we're biased. So we only do Microsoft technology. Very proud of that. They have a couple logos there. Those are Microsoft solutions partner designations, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's meaningful. So what that means is I can't just put up that logo just because I like it. We have to earn those, right? And so we have this, we have that designation for what they call business applications, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about today, as well as digital app innovation on Azure. Which again is, the simplified version is we know how to use all the Microsoft cloud tools, to basically solve our partners' business problems, right? So there's a lot in that. I won't go too geeky on this call, but these designations are pretty important to us. That's something we have to earn every year for Microsoft, and requires our consultants have to go pass a whole bunch of exams. We've got to have clients that are willing to vouch for us, basically, testify on our behalf that that we do a good job. So very proud of those, and so we're very good at the Microsoft technology set, because that's all we do. A little bit more about the company. So we've been around since 2012. Company founded in the UK, and we've recently expanded here to the US. I think a pretty unique approach, and then we have an extremely partnering and teaming kind of approach, both internally and with our clients. And that is what I sort of describe as full life cycle. So we're not the kind of organization that's going to come in, give you a solution, and then disappear. We have clients that we have very long-term relationships with, because we'll help whatever you need help with, and also as the products evolve and change, guess what, we'll help you through that, and help you figure out how to get the most of that investment you've made in the technology platform. Just an idea of some of our clients, and so we do work with with customers in a number of sectors, but we certainly have a sweet spot around nonprofits. So you see a number of them there. There's a few that you probably recognize. One right there in the center that I'll mention, Anthony Nolan, a cancer research charity based in the UK. That was the first client of the company over 12 years ago, and we're happy to say that we still help them today. And again, when I talk about technology for good, there's some stories of kind of some of the things we've done there that I think are as good as it gets, frankly. So that's what we do. And then I'm going to hand over to Jill and talk about Sylogist and where they focus on the nonprofit space.
Well, thank you so much, Todd. I'm representing Sylogist, and so who are we? We are an solutions provider built on for the platform. So just like what Todd was mentioning, take the platform to where it needs to be to fit the needs of what nonprofits require for their business operations. All we do is build solutions for nonprofits. And again, you can see there, we've been in business for over 30 years. And again, we work pretty closely with organizations like what we're seeing today. And I can't wait to show you guys some of the fun stuff that we bring to the table and augment the Microsoft platform again to supply what you need for your nonprofits. There's some of our logos. Some of the clients that we support that are using our system. Pretty proud of some of those there. And I'm excited to be able to show you some of the things. So the problems that Mission solves for nonprofits, and I apologize, seems like one of the blocks is hiding itself on me there. But just essentially what it distills down to, as you heard me mention, is enabling you to be able to focus on your programs and the things that you're doing in your communities and supporting the projects that making the difference so that you're not caught up in technology. That's kind of how I say it. I've been supporting nonprofits in their technology space for over 20 years. So this is kind of all I've done in my professional life. And in my experience, what Mission CRM brings is kind of helping the nonprofit so that you can focus on what you guys want to do rather than being chained to technology. And so a lot of what I'm going to show you today, is support that you day in and day out, whether that's fundraising and engaging with your donors. Of course, because there's a lot of data behind this, we've analytics and the business intelligence, the reporting dashboards. If you have some designations or funds that you're managing, whether those are endowed or restricted, all of that is fully supported, including any of you that have some grant programs and maybe you need to manage the spending of those grants. Of course, we have the ability to process gifts, whether that's in a batch or maybe it's just one-off, or if you have that you're using. I believe some of the good or the power of the platform is the integration. So if a system that you really like using and you want to get that data consolidated, that's what Mission CRM and that's what the power of the platform can do for you, is bring all your data into a single source. So that you can do accurate reporting, forecasting, and have a understanding of what your donors, what your constituents are doing, how you, and then make decisions on maybe what you want to do in the future. So again, one too many there. A lot of what I'll be showing today to what you're seeing there. So it's one platform. The level set here with this slide is Mission CRM. We're an application that's installed on top of Dynamics. So what does that really mean? Dynamics is the CRM, and it's using the common data model. So I kind of alluded to that earlier. One of the powers of is bringing your data into one place using such things as the common data model so that you can build reports, so that you can the system, so that you can use it in efficient ways and make intelligent and utilizing the Power Platform to customize, integrate, extend, and that's what FormusPro does on top of what the application can do. In other words, personalize it to fit your organization and your specific requirements. But what we bring to the table, you're seeing there at the top, I lovingly refer to those as the chiclets, such as gift batch, and maybe you're doing events. Are you a fundraising organization? So you've got some moves management and so forth. And a lot of this is what I'm going to be demoing during our time today, are those chiclets there at the top. But as you can see, it's all on the Microsoft platform. so that you can rely on all of the things that you're used to using day in and day out, such as your Outlook. Maybe you've got some spreadsheets that you're using, or maybe we want to be able to get the data out of the system. And I'm going to show you some of those really awesome things here in a moment. So with that said,
Yeah, we're doing that job. I mean, one thing is, there's a lot of complexity in that slide. So we don't want to scare people because you don't need to know that complexity. That's our job. That's what we do. But yeah,
right.
So but to me, the sort of takeaway here is to understand is that, this is built on, a Microsoft technology stack. It's the same technology stack that, is used by the largest companies in the world. So it's, it's sort of battle tested, secure, accessible and, reliable, all those sort of good things. But with Mission CRM, we have this purpose-built solution on top of that, that solves some of the needs of nonprofits. But because it's built on this Microsoft platform, there's some easy integration to take advantage of some things you may have already in your system. And the other thing is that Microsoft continually updates this product set, and so it's not like you're getting a solution and you're stuck at a point in time. This thing continues to evolve on a fairly fast pace, actually, because it's built on that product set. So
that's right. So without further ado,
don't let me distract you. Show us some cool stuff.
Yeah, let's see some cool stuff. All right. So let's start off with just a information, kind of piggybacking on that last slide that we saw there. What you're seeing right now, Mission CRM. I've got my home page, or the page that I see when I launch the system, configured. I kind of wear the hat of a fundraiser. So what do I want to see? Obviously, my portfolio, so that I can manage it. Just an example of a dashboard, a Power BI dashboard that's available. This comes part of the product. So most of what I'm showing you today is part. In other words, it comes day one, right with the system. But before we get a level set with, you'll see up in the upper left-hand corner, Dynamics 365. So as that last slide showing you, Mission CRM is an app on top of, again, it's adding all of the that nonprofits have inside of their organization. So in other words, bringing to the table the wonder and the functionality that you need, again, day one. But there's lots of other that are available to you. So if your organization does volunteers, part of the platform comes with volunteer management. And there's some other things that I'm going to be showing as we go along. But I just wanted to kind of set that level of what is Mission CRM. It's an inside of this app gallery on top of using Dynamics 365. All of the things that you're used to, like Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, all of these productivity apps integrate beautifully with the system. And I'm going to show those examples as we go along. So as we're sitting here on the dashboards, let's take I have, and again, with you day one. So Mission comes with about 13 different out-of-the-box Power BI reports. Again, you'll work with Todd's team to implement those and configure them to fit your organization. But as you can see, as I scroll, there are tons of different reports that come with the system. They're kind of fun to play around with and take a look at. Don't get too dizzy. I'm going to go to the top to my dashboards. So these are the ones that I've created for demoing, just to show you guys a flavor. But these, I think of these as more like the day in the life types of dashboards. And so whether you're in the annual fund, so what are the things that are important to you that you want to see every day when you come into the system. And again, if you're in that annual fund department, you might be looking for some renewals, some giving campaigns, donations for this fiscal year, just some examples. Amanda being the vice president of our organization, maybe she has more of a higher level view. And again, all of these dashboards are configurable and very easy to set up. Notice that you can edit edit them. You can also do a save as or do a copy and then maybe embellish it and make it further work for you. So again, dashboards come with the system. And again, I think they're kind of fun to play around with. Nice thing with the Power BI is you're also able to set up subscriptions to those. So if you want to get that into your inbox every day, you can certainly do that. And I'll show you some examples in a few moments. So contacts over here on the left-hand side, this is kind of your navigation tree, your navigation of the different areas. So think of these as just different functional areas. We're going to kind of navigate around into these during our day. And then contacts, of course, those are your donors. Organization into organization records, and so we've got a grouping record and a lot of household situations, members of a household. So while looking at the contacts in the system, it's very easy to query this data, yourself up with some different types of views or lists of the data. I'm going to crack and I've created quite a different variety of slicing, looking at the data. Maybe I want to see just a glimpse of my lapsed donors. So the donors that maybe are falling a little with their annual giving. Maybe we've got certain codes in the system, such as Friends of the Hospital for anybody that's running a Grateful Patient program, whatever that criteria is. The nice thing is about the system is it's very flow happy. And what I mean by that is if there are certain things that happen in your organization that you want, let's take the humans out of it. Let's add some tags or update records based on different triggers in the system. So in our case, for Friends of the Hospital, maybe that has a certain criteria and then they get that flag and we can set it up so that happens automatically. So the ones with these little avatars next to them are views that I have created, but at those without, these are just standard views that come with the system. And again, you'll have opportunity to kind of play around with those and find out what works for you. All contacts that I want, assigned to me if I'm a fundraiser are going to be my active contacts. And I think of this as my portfolio. So again, if I'm a fundraiser and I want to see who I'm assigned to, I can do that pretty quickly and easily with the active contacts. If you want to change these views around, it's super easy to do that. You're going to be able to add columns. Again, this is all in that data, the common data model. So pretty much any field that you want to bring in from the contact records, you can do that from here. Being able to filter, being able to query on the data, you can do that pretty quickly also. By editing the various filters that are available in the system. Again, I've got my active contacts set up as showing me my portfolio. So it's saying owner of those records equal to myself being the current user. And as you can see there, I can change these filters to create a totally different list. Nice thing about once you have your list is, again, we're going to leverage those productivity apps that we're used to, such as being able to import data from Excel. I can export data to Excel. And then if I do so with Excel Online, which is the live version of Excel, I can do inline editing. So think out there that might be data integrity is important, or maybe I need date a group of records. Create your criteria, create your query, bring that data out into Excel Online, do all the editing that you need. Once you hit save and send it back into the system, all those updates are automatically absorbed. So that's really quick way of being able to edit records without needing to necessarily do a lot of complicated queries and so forth. So let's pop into one of our contact records here and dive into some of the things that MissionCRM brings that the contact record, such as their giving and doing some summaries of their giving that we're going to see across this middle panel here. That's not behaving this morning. Oh, there it goes. And so again, what Mission CRM brings is these summary tiles. That's just one example. Being able to summarize on the timeline, that's automatically there. So that's my engagement, my relationship with Brian. So if Brian is in my portfolio and I'm his fundraiser, you know, I'm going to want to see some summarized things. I also want to see within that timeline, and that's recording everything that's going on with Brian, whether that's me sending emails out to him sending emails in, us inviting him to events. Maybe we are calling up Brian. So in other words, everything that's going on with our relationship with Brian is being captured in the timeline, and I can sort this timeline. I can search within the timeline. So if I'm looking for specific things, I can do that pretty quickly. For his donations, of course, we're going to summarize that and give you last time he gave, most recent. We're breaking down the revenue into transactions. I sometimes call that dollars in the door. Commitments, those are those pledges. And then anybody that's got reoccurring giving or sustaining giving, those payment schedules, we can also see that here. The nice thing about Brian's record, since he's my test record, he got examples of all these different types here. Any of those payment schedules can be set up to be automatically withdrawn across credit cards. Of course, we are PCI compliant for any of those of you out there that have those types of giving options. But as I continue to look at Brian, since he is considered a major donor, I'm going to go back out here to his main summary page. And I want to show you guys how you can create different views. So again, there's a lot of data underneath here. Views are looking at that contact record from the lens of what might be important to you based on what you do at your organization. So for example, I need to take a look at Brian as one of our board members. And so the different data, again, that's present within the common data model, let's bring that forward or serve it up so that me as the user, I can see all of the things related to his interactions with our organization as a board member. So I can see what is his status, what's his different connections or relationships, what are some upcoming activities that are going on. And again, this is still Brian from the lens of him being one of our donors, but now I'm also, again, just taking a look at him from the lens of his board activity. Maybe he happens to also be a volunteer. So I want to take a look at Brian from the lens of his volunteer activities. How does he participate with us? Does he have specific times that he's available? Did he go through our vetting process? Is he qualified? Has he gone through whatever our intake process happens to be? And again, still Brian, just now looking at him from the point of view as being a volunteer for our organization. So I just wanted to kind of point that out to you guys as a way of personalizing the experience. And that's the awesome work that Todd's team helps you with as part of that implementation and creating those types of experiences across your different users. You're also seeing across the top here kind of an example of one of those business process flows. Here's an example of kind of more of that moves management from the time we identify Brian as a potential major donor to hopefully cultivation, where we're extending the ask in our solicitation, and then hopefully gift and door, and we move to a stewardship phase. The nice thing is all of this is connected to Copilot and Teams. Let me pull up Copilot real quick here. Copilot is a nice, he's exactly that. He's a co-pilot. He's there to help me relate to the data, interact with the data, just ask some questions. And of course, our friends at Microsoft often recommend using natural language. So you're literally asking it questions. For example, let's see, I've got some already kind of preloaded here so you don't have to watch me type. Such as show me the last 5 transactions to the Chicago connected designation. Designations are another word for fund. So again, really quick, of course, I can access the Chicago connected designation and kind of drill through and figure that out on my own. But I'm a big fan of letting the machines kind of work for us. And in this case, I'm just asking, hey, show me the last 5 gifts to that fund. And it's going to show that list here in just a moment. Once Copilot does its magic, it's going to give that to me in a list and allow me to interact with that list. I can export that list, and I can also attach flows. So flows might be sending out certain things and so forth. But as you can see, Copilot has a range of different ways that you can interact with it. And he's apparently sleeping this morning, so I apologize on that. I just did this like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, right. And 2 quick thoughts, while Copilot catches up here. So, one, just to make sure Jill has access to everything in the system. So from an admin view and all this, the system is built on Dynamics. Dynamics has something called role-based security. So what that means is the system is customized for different functions, so different roles. So if you come in, you're director of development, you're going to have one set of access rights and then the default set of views and things that are specific to that role. As to someone who's like, say, you're treasurer or something, they're getting they can have a completely different set of things. And so you actually have ability in the system to to regulate and decide who has access to what views, and so on and so forth. And it's just that's inherent in the system. We're showing you everything here today, so you can get a flavor of it. The other thing, Copilot, even though it's being sleepy here, is that you'll see that little icon pop up throughout, the system, right? And that's probably one of the best examples of is the kind of advantages you get from being built on this Dynamics platform, where Microsoft is building this functionality into the product. And then the fact that you can ask it a question in like real English, as opposed to having to go do some data analysis, to come up with something like that is pretty powerful. So
yeah, he woke up there. Thank you, Todd. So if I go into that Chicago connected designation again, I was asking it specific questions such as, in this case, my Chicago connected designation has disbursements. So again, that data is there. I asked Copilot to serve it up to me again, so I can just see that. Maybe I'm quickly trying to get that number and get the response pretty quickly. So the Copilot, easy to turn on and activate. You also saw Teams in there. I often think of Teams as a way of being able to communicate with each other regarding anything in the system. So we've got opportunities. We could have naming opportunities, different types of fundraiser teams, and so forth. Everything that's going on inside of Teams is being preserved within the system. And so, for example, that same Loved Beyond Grant Teams chat that you saw just a moment ago, it's embedded within MissionCRM. And so what a great thing for staff turnover, or someone else is now assigned to this opportunity. Maybe you've had a fundraiser change. Maybe we've had some staffing change. The institutional knowledge that sometimes leaves with people. The nice thing with this system is if you're using Teams to chat, that's preserved regardless because it's related to the record in the system. So at any time I can see that historical conversation that's been happening. As you can see, that one's going clear back to last year. And so that's connected, it's attached, and I can bring up that historical information related to that at any time. And so thinking of an opportunity, just another example of how MissionCRM brings to the table the things that nonprofits have as part of your day in and day out daily life, such as opportunities or the ask, they can have sequences associated with them. I think of sequences as kind of keeping everybody on task. As you can see here, they're kind of the steps to hopefully increase that engagement to the point of hopefully solicitation, and then we go into stewardship. Anything related to this asks, now in this case, this opportunity has a designation plan related to it. I often think of designation plans as kind of the honoring donor intent. So in other words, as Brian has committed to this, made a $300,000 pledge, what you're seeing here are the designation plans. So in other words, as Brian is paying on this pledge, sending in donations, and it's being processed, because we've got a designation plan, again, I call that honoring donor intent, the dollars are directed to the appropriate designations funds, AKA funds. So in other words, gift processing isn't having to know that information, or somebody isn't having to remember that exactly. Where does Brian want? What are the funds? What are the programs that Brian wants to support? We've got this designation plan. So as we're processing his donations, you can see he's asked to have it split up evenly. It doesn't have to be evenly. It can be whatever way that your donor wants to split those funds. And then so is any related payment schedules or commitments. In this case, we're going to look at his commitment or his pledge that's related to that opportunity. So as we'll hop over into that pledge record real quick, again, that designation plan you're going to see is exactly the same. And so as those payments are coming in related to this commitment, related to this pledge, the system is going to automatically split that gift based on what Brian's communicated to us. So we're honoring his intent. So on that same note there, I do want to talk about some more things that MissionCRM brings to the table, such as unlimited donation pages. You can spin up as many donation pages as you would like. They can be configured to have different types of asks on them or different giving levels. It can also be configured to support certain funds, and you can choose which ones you want to have displayed. As the donor is going through the donation page and entering in their information, we integrate really nicely with Melissa data to auto-complete your address fields for the donors. And then Double Donation is another organization that we also integrate really nicely with to hopefully help out with anybody that's having a matching gift program. Again, we are PCI compliant. And so at any time that those credit cards are being entered, know that those are safe and secure. We support a variety of different types of payment processors, from Stripe to IATS to Moneris, Global Pay. I think we're up to about 12 different ones right now. So pretty much any payment processor. Notice that you can ask your donors to cover the fees related to the donation. Once this goes through, of course, that's going to fire off the thank you. Because I mentioned that I also want to put in a matching gift claim, that Double Donation integration is popping up to let that donor know, hey, here's your matching gift form. Go ahead and go out there and fill that out for Nike and submit that to hopefully double that donation. Of course, a thank you was sent out. I'm going to pop over here to my Outlook. Examples of different types of templates, unlimited number of templates, whether you send out your thank yous through the mail or you send them out via email. It doesn't matter. The system can handle both ways, can print these off, also send out any sort of attachments. And in my case, I've got the kind of like the tax receipt going out as a separate attachment, but it certainly can be embedded within also. While we're in our inbox here, I want to show you guys some other stuff that's kind of cool and fun related to some of those flows I was mentioning. So as a fundraiser, I want to know when anybody in my portfolio happens to maybe register for any events, or maybe we've got a new donor and they made a significant gift. In my case, my trigger is over $250, but hey, they're not assigned to any fundraisers. Maybe we want to do that. Notice that this just came into my inbox to do a little shoulder tap. I want to know Brian is in my portfolio. I want to know when he gives. So I want a little shoulder tap when that happens also. So these, hopefully you're noticing kind of a theme here where it says track to dynamics. And I mentioned that earlier in that everything that's going on with my integrated Outlook, my communications to my donors, the donors communicating with me, all of that's being tracked in the system, and you see that little visual indicator there also. So just a little heads up, variety of different ways of being notified about things, including, as I mentioned before, I can get inbox delivery for my daily reports also. One last thing I'll hit on here as we're getting close to time. As we look at those designations, AKA funds, kind of a whole functional area related to designations. Again, designations are going to match your account codes in your finance system. And the reason why I bring that up is because our designations are can handle very complex situations, and make sure that the dollars, make sure that your donations are being funneled into the appropriate GL codes. And so what you're seeing here is when I configured the Chicago Connected designation, I defined the appropriate debits and credits, the GL codes that are kind of behind that. Again, so that when we're communicating to the finance system, whether that's through integrations, like if you're using BC, Business Central, or our sister product, Mission ERP, it's a native natural integration. But of course, if you've got other systems, that's okay. We work nicely with them also, and Todd's team can talk to you more about that. But we want to define those credits, debits and credits, so that when we're communicating with the finance system, again, the appropriate GL codes are being communicated with, including also those distributions. And we saw that earlier on that other fund. One last thing I'll hit on here before we wrap up. Earlier you heard me mention how we are able to manage our different types of being able to do receipts, being able to do gift processing and gift batches. For example, if you happen to batch information, that giving, we can also handle importing the files. So if you have a system that you're using that's also gathering donations, very easy to bring those in. You can load that data. It'll batch it up for you, present it to you in this view where you can take a look, approve that, edit it, or whatever you need to do before committing those new donations to the system. That's one option, but then you also have the ability to batch gifts and be able to enter the data here and set some defaults, as you can see over here on the other side, batch these gifts in and commit them to the system. Notice that you also can export that out if you need to. And the nice thing I like about our batch is it's going to alert you if the donor has an open commitment. So again, thinking of if they're sending in a pledge payment or maybe something towards that open commitment, they can process very easily within the batch. You can also edit the contact records. Very often I've seen where, gift processing is the first to know when someone moves. Is that how the donor sends in a gift? It says, oh, by the way, I've got a new address. You can also update addresses straight from batch entry and be able to do that here. You notice our batch entry also handles split giving. So again, thinking of honoring that donor intent. If they want to give across more than one fund, we can help you with that with our batch entry also. So on that note, I'm going to pause, open it up. If we've
Well,
got
I got a couple things for you.
Yeah,
there's one in the chat here. I got a couple things for you too. That first off, yeah, thanks for mentioning the finance integration, because that's really important. We could spend a whole other session, and we have on that. But we do have an opinion and solution on how you solve the finance side of things as well. And we've got really deep integration with this product. But we can tie into whatever you might have today. The other thing that maybe it's worth talking about is the household view. I saw it there a couple times, but is that worth digging into just for a second? Because I know we get asked by that a lot, actually. So
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned it. So the household record, I briefly mentioned that as just a different record type. The household record is a grouping record, and that's exactly what it's going to do. So members of the household, you'll add them to the household record. And then from the household record, you'll be able to see some aggregates, such as the total giving across the entire household. And then also break that down into the different members of the household. And as you can see, we've got some children added, some of the parents. So the overall kind of looking at that household, notice that you also have a timeline on the household. This is my favorite part of the household record, actually, is it consolidates all of the members of the household's timeline, and kind of helps to kind of summarize everything that's going on across the household, regardless of the member. And you can see the various emails that may have gone out, the click rate on that, event invitations, who got the pledge reminder. So you can see the members of the household and their various engagement with the organization, and not just their giving, but also if they're coming to events, if they're a member of our membership program, and so forth. So all of that can be kind of viewed holistically across that household record.
Which is really cool. And then you've got Copilot popping up again. So you've got, you could have years and years of records and all these interactions with all that. And that's all in there. But yeah, you can see that, that there's little spots where it pops up, and Copilot giving the summary of, okay, here's here's where we're at. Here's what's happened, right? Which is, that's pretty good. That's pretty powerful stuff. So hey, one question from the chat, I don't know, so I'll let you answer, Jill. But then if others have anything else, jump in. Is there a way to test donation pages without putting a real charge on a credit card? I'm sure the credit card you put in was a real number, but there's how does that work?
Sure. Well, so there's testing credit cards. And that's actually the one I'm using, is like the fake Visa card. But let me get into the donation page real quick. That's under my fundraising functional area here. Let's go into the donation pages. The one I was quickly showing you, and again, you can have as many of these as you want. And let's see, I was using this one, so we're going to pop into kind of the configuration of it. You do have the ability to deactivate them if you need to, until you're ready. But honestly, until you start using it, and deploying it, we do offer friendly URLs. So if you're embedding this within communications and so forth, you can use that friendly URL. As far as testing it, I guess I use a fake credit card. And so it's kind of like, as soon as I create it, it is there for me to be able to test with. And so the credit card I used is just a fake one. So it's the one that Visa, what is it? 4 and then a bunch of ones. I've used it so many times, I forget what it is.
Or was it 42, 42 something? Yeah, there's
or 42, 42, 42, 42. So I guess what I would recommend is, if you're not aware that there are ways that you can test using the testing Visa and testing MasterCard numbers. Google that, because the page, as soon as I create it, I can get in and start playing with it. I'll just use this external URL that it automatically generates for me. And then I play with it and test on it. And then when I'm ready for it to be used, I then can either use this URL inside of our communications or the friendly one. And then, that goes out, whether that's in emails or whatever, or you can also embed, see how it has generate iframe. You have the ability to embed this within your existing website. So I guess until you send out the URL for folks to start using, you're technically in a testing mode.
Yeah, and whenever we do an implementation of one of our clients, obviously, testing is going to be a big part of the implementation, and get everybody comfortable with how that operates before you go flip the switch, but this does make it pretty easy. It's that's a pretty valuable piece of the functionality here. So.
And while we're on here, I do want to mention, so we've got the donation pages. We also have an unlimited, you can create as many as you want, peer-to-peer type of fundraising teams. And then we also offer event registration pages. So while we're talking about pages, all of those come with MissionCRM.
Yeah, and it's great this is all built in because everybody has this, and you do it for each event for every year, and this makes it really simple to stand those up and have all that tied back into your CRM. All right, we're running towards the top hour. Jill, any other? I mean, there's a lot here, right? And so hopefully we haven't made you sort of glaze over. It's a powerful product. If you have other questions, we'd be happy to get on, a call one-on-one, dive in a bit deeper, understand a bit more about your organization, and how this might solve some of your problems. So this is what we do. So I think that was, Jill, it was awesome. Anything else that we didn't touch on here?
I will say that it's also very mobile friendly. So definitely come back for more demos. We can dive a little deeper into kind of the day in the life. But I think of sometimes the fundraisers, they tend to like to work with their mobile devices. Everything I showed you today can also be done with the app on your phones. Same thing in the Outlook with Teams. So in other words, you don't have to use a computer. You can do everything I'm showing you today from a mobile device also.
Yeah, one thing, I guess we're so used to now that, but it's worth mentioning. So this is a SaaS application, right? So everything we showed you today lives in the cloud, lives in Microsoft's cloud. So you don't have to worry about setting up servers and setting up PCs and all this. It's all Microsoft's done all that heavy lifting for you, and so we take advantage of that. With that, and no other questions, we'll let everybody wrap up and get on with the day. Jill, thanks for your time, and for everybody to join us today. Appreciate your time as well, and we hope to talk to you soon.